What's going on, gamers? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Saya no Uta. I think we are jumping into, unfortunately for me, a spooky episode. Or at least we're doing what we did a few episodes ago, and we're searching around looking for, well, anything in regards to Dr. Ogai. We're still trying to figure out really who this guy is, and really what Saya is. There's a lot of questions left to answer. And it truly involves trying to figure out where this guy is, and if anything, where he went, what happened to him. So it has led us 3 hours away from the main story location, somewhere up in a snowy location, a little bit disconnected from society, I guess you can say. So we're on our own with Koji. The two of them are now here secluded in this, I guess you can call it yet another abandoned house, because he's more than likely not here. I don't think any living person is here, but hopefully we can find some clues. All of the windows are shut with heavy curtains, and the gloom inside is thick and stifling words. Fuminori turns on his own flashlight and starts rummaging through the cabin without regard for its owner's privacy. Koji is reluctant to do the same, but it is obvious that this mountain retreat has been abandoned for a long time, just like the house in Tokyo. There's no point in being considerate now. He goes to search a different room. Soon after entering the cabin, however, he realizes that their search is meaningless. There's nothing inside but the bare necessities of life. Some rooms are even completely empty, save for a thick layer of dust on the floor. Of what few pieces of furniture are present, more than half appear to have never been used. There's an empty chest of drawers without a single scratch or handprint, but bearing the telltale signs of mold and moisture damage. The condition of the cabin is eerie, though in a different way than the filthiness of the house in the city. It's like someone put together a mock-up of a home and then left it to decay. The only signs that anyone lived here are found in the toilet, the bath, the kitchen, and the bedroom. It appears that the cabin was never used for anything but eating and sleeping. The true retreat lifestyle. Don't do anything. Beneath the darkened sky, the snow itself seems to glow with a cold white light. The scene is like something out of a fairy tale, but to Koji it serves only as an unpleasant reminder that he has stepped outside of the reality that he knows. Next to the front porch is a plain wooden door half buried in the ground. It's locked, of course, but Koji sees no reason for restraint after what Fuminori did to the front door. Oh geez, God. Why is everything so loud? Alright, the door offers surprisingly little resistance to Koji's heavy kick, breaking open to reveal a set of concrete stairs leading down into a pitch-black basement. That's not suspicious. Koji would prefer to leave such a forbidding place to Fuminori, but it's not like he can just ask him to take his place. He descends into the chilly darkness, the beam of his flashlight leading the way. Oh, what goods will we find down here? There turns out to be nothing in the basement but a storage room and a boiler, exactly what one would expect to find in an isolated mountain cabin. The few packages of preserved foods sitting on the shelves have long since passed their expiration dates, and the boiler doesn't appear to have been used in years. Koji guesses that Ogai's mountain home has been abandoned longer than the house in Tokyo. Was Fuminori simply mistaken when he said that Ogai might be here? Or was he lying from the beginning? Not sure what to do next, Koji goes back up the stairs and walks around the outside of the cabin, and there he finds the backyard. That is a very interesting looking backyard. It's in much worse condition than the front yard. Having been mostly reclaimed by the forest, it must have been neglected even when the cabin was still in use. The remnants of a woodshed lie in the yard, the mushrooms growing on it speaking to how much time has passed since its collapse. Next to the rotten logs, however, stands a circle of stone that has not yet succumbed to the elements. A well. The well has no bucket or pulley. and when Koji peers carefully into it, he sees that the water is no longer flowing. It's probably less than 10 meters deep, depending on how much mud is piled up inside. Koji's search of the cabin has revealed nothing of interest inside or out. Leaning against the edge of the well, Koji wonders why Ogai bought this remote home deep in the mountains and what he was doing here. As far as Koji can tell, there's no sign that more than one person ever stayed here. Fuminori's words play back in Koji's head. Could this have been some sort of secret refuge, a place to remain hidden from the world? That would explain why there's nothing to suggest that whoever lived here did anything more than eat and sleep. Koji suddenly remembers the doctor he met yesterday at T University. Maybe she'd know something. He takes out his phone and calls up the number. There's barely a signal, but it manages to get through. Koji's hopes are soon dashed. It's playing the little thing. However, when his call goes straight to Dr. Tambo's voicemail. He considers calling back later, but realizes that it would be hard to talk to her with Fuminori around. Fuminori would not at all be pleased to learn that Koji and Yo went to see his doctor. Koji decides that he'd better tell the doctor what he can while he's still alone.
どうも、殿浩二です。昨日はお世話になりました。
Koji leaves a clear and concise message explaining that he went with Fuminori to Ogai's mountain retreat, giving the address and asking for confirmation that the property belongs to Ogai.
東京に戻ったらまたこちらから連絡します。では。
After hanging up, Koji thinks back to their visit to the hospital. Is Dr. Tambo actually investigating like she said she would? Her reluctance to speak of Dr. Ogai is weighing on his mind. He talked to Yo about it on the way home, but they were unable to decide whether the doctor could really be trusted. Speaking of which, how is Yo doing? Koji hasn't seen her today. Oh yeah, that's right. He didn't say a word to her about his trip to Tochigi. She might be worried, especially so soon after Omi's disappearance. Thinking to check up on her, Koji dials Yo's number, and is surprised when it rings longer than it usually does. Did she forget her phone somewhere? Just as he's about to give up, the call connects. The first thing Koji hears is a strange sound. It's not signal interference, but some kind of wet, distorted noise, like the voiceless groans or perhaps sobs of someone far away. No, that's exactly what they are. The person on the other side is crying.
Tsukubaなのか?
There's a response, but is it really Tsukuba's voice? It's too twisted with agony for Koji to tell. Panic surges through Koji as he realizes that something is terribly wrong.
コーチだ。殿浩二だよ。Tsukubaなのか? 今どこなんだ?
After a short period of nothing but pain moans, words start coming through the speaker one by one as though each takes on an act of will. Yeah, I wonder what's going on with her. I mean, the last time we saw anything, you know, it was a straight-up tentacle H scene. So, I'm kind of curious as to how things are now. Yo must be delirious because Koji can't understand a thing she's saying. Her gasps and wheezes, however, are enough to tell him that she's in an unimaginable pain. What the fuck? She's not making any sense. Koji feels despair, sees his heart in an iron grip. What is happening to Yo now 100 kilometers away? Only her voice gives any hint of what she's going through. There's nothing he can do for her. What the fuck?
警察を呼べ。 助けを呼ぶんだ。
いや、こんなすぐ一人にせられない。
Yo suddenly breaks into a violent hacking cough, as though trying to expel something filling her throat.
つくば。
Koji screams into the phone, his reason overwhelmed by unimaginable horror, which is why he is unable to react when the phone is suddenly knocked from his hand, and also why he didn't notice Fuminori sneaking up on him until it was too late.
No.
Fuminori seizes Koji's lower jaw with his right hand, cutting off Koji's angry shout. Koji can hardly believe the strength of the smaller man's grip. His biggest mistake was leaning back against the well. There's nothing to grab onto as Fuminori pushes him backward over the edge. He can only flail his arms vainly against the air. Koji soon loses his balance entirely. He feels a terrifying weightlessness as the world spins before his eyes. Before he can realize what has happened, his back strikes something with tremendous force. He thrashes wildly as cold, dirty water fills his mouth and freezes him to the core. Only when his fingers find the wall of the well is he able to regain his sense of direction and right himself. On his hands and knees in the mud, Koji vomits filthy water out of his lungs. He tries to shout, but it comes out as a hoarse groan distorted by the echo in the cramped space. Alright, why did he do that though? I'm kind of curious as to what Fuminori's got going on. His laughter, on the other hand, is as clear as a bell. He says scornfully. Fuminori tosses Koji's phone into the well. Koji catches it just before it hits him in the face, but finds that the battery pack has been removed, rendering it useless. Remember battery packs and phones, guys?
何のつもりだ、貴様。
This is no joke. It's a miracle that Koji is uninjured. He could easily have broken his neck. And just because he's not hurt doesn't mean that he's safe. Koji feels around the inside of the well, searching for something to hold on to, but the mud-covered stone offers no purchase. It's obvious that he won't be able to get out without help.
落ちた拍子に死んでればまだ苦しまずに済んだろう。コウジ、君って本当に運がないんだね。
お前、おい、まさか。
Koji starts to say, but trails off as the pieces finally come together in his head. Today's sudden change in Fuminori's attitude, that smile that always seemed somehow malevolent. Fuminori hadn't been smiling at Koji, but at the thought of his friend's death.
どうして。
He can't wrap his head around this turn of events. Why would Fuminori try to kill him? True, Fuminori had wanted Koji to stay out of his business, but is that really a motive for murder?
別段今すぐ殺す必要なんてなかったんだけどね。もしかしたらお前は僕の邪魔をするようになるやつかもしれないし、せっかく人目につかないところまで出かけるんならついでにと思ってさ。
ついでにって、お前、そんな理由で俺を。
お前、死ぬのに理由が欲しいのか。
Fuminori replies coldly. He sounds truly amazed that Koji would ask such a thing.
何様のつもりだ、コウジ。人は何の理由もなく死ぬんだよ。僕の両親がそうだったし、僕も危うくそうなりかけた。
むちゃくちゃだ。
そんなに理由が欲しいなら一人でじっくり考えなよ。そこでなら時間はたっぷりあるだろ。
Fuminori disappears from view, leaving Koji alone in the darkness with nothing to connect him to the outside world.
フミノリ、おい、フミノリ。
Koji shouts at the top of his lungs, knowing beyond a doubt that if Fuminori leaves, all hope of rescue will vanish with him. No one will ever hear him calling for help from the bottom of this mountain well.
つくばが大変なんだ。おい、フミノリ、聞いてくれ。ここから出してくれ。
In his desperation, Koji no longer comprehends the futility of begging for mercy. No god or devil will answer him. His only hope is that Fuminori will have a change of heart, Praying for a miracle, he keeps calling Fuminori's name. Eventually, the sky grows as dark as the bottom of the well. Koji can no longer make out the edge of the opening, and he has long since lost track of how many hours he has been screaming. Nevertheless, he continues to scream, for he knows that the despair silence brings will kill him, Words are difficult, and so is sentence structure. Alright, so I guess we're following our boy now, and everything looks awful, as per usual. I feel great, the same feeling that you get when the last piece of a difficult puzzle slides smoothly into place. I have killed a man, and no one will ever know. Wow, so this is the remote place. It's just, wow. Yeah, I guess shape alone, you can kind of piece it together, but it does help that we've already seen what it actually looks like. It is a long way back to civilization, but neither the cold nor the exhaustion can ruin my good mood as I walk alone down the snow-covered mountain road. I was tempted to use Koji's car, but that would have introduced a flaw into the plan. I don't want anyone to connect me to his disappearance. The plan formed in my mind the moment that I realized how remote the location was. Even if I couldn't find anything to lead me to Dr. Ogai, his absence would at least prove that the cabin has been utterly abandoned, in which case it would be the perfect spot to take care of a problem. I knew coming all the way out to Tochigi wouldn't be a waste of time. I didn't even need to use the meat cleaver hidden under my jacket. Alright, well, nice to know that's there. A dry well. It's like fate itself provided me with the perfect setting. That idiot didn't even realize the danger he was in, and his phone call distracted him enough for me to take him by surprise. Now one of the two people whose questions might have caused trouble for me and Saya has vanished from the face of the earth. All that's left is to eliminate the other. And yeah, she's probably being taken care of right now. Tsukuba Yo. I mustn't underestimate her just because she's less aggressive than Koji. Even she should be able to see a connection between the disappearances of her two friends. I suppose I should be thankful that it was Yo to whom Koji was talking to on the phone. If he'd reported our location to a third party, I'd have to track down and eliminate that person too. Yeah, that would suck, huh? I'm a little worried about what they were discussing, but judging by how Koji was screaming into the phone, they probably weren't exchanging detailed information. Either way, I'd better get rid of Yo as soon as possible. After walking all night long, I finally reach Nasu Flat Station just as the trains start running. It only takes an hour to get back to Tokyo on the Limited Express. It's not enough time to rest, but I'm too wound up for that to matter. Besides, I don't want to waste any time thinking up a way to kill Yo. Using the cabin again would be dangerous, or too dangerous, and I'm not sure how I'd get her out of there in the first place. I just exploded in her face the other day. I doubt that she'll be as quick to trust me as Koji was, which means that it will be difficult to get her alone. I could ask Saya for her opinion, but even I have some pride. I want to show her that I'm a man who can take care of business. Unfortunately, I'm unable to come up with anything before I get home. And, yeah, I think he's going to be in for an interesting surprise. I suppose that I should just be proud of having dealt with Koji, the immediate threat. The search of Dr. Ogai's cabin was a bust, with no trace of his having been there, but I see no reason to be frustrated. Saya isn't all that concerned about the doctor's whereabouts, so looking for him is just something to satisfy my own curiosity.
Tadaima.
It's morning, half a day later, than I normally get home, and the sound of Saya running down the stairs tells me just how impatient she was for my return. It makes me feel warm inside.
Okaeri, Fuminori.
She throws her arms around my neck, her smile at least 20% brighter than usual.
遅くなってごめんな。いろいろ予定が変わったもんで。
私の方ももうちょっとで準備が終わるとこ。
Huh?
準備？
Oh, what has she been doing? Saya responds to my confusion with a mischievous smile.
ふみのりをね、びっくりさせる準備。
どういうこと？
まだ内緒。それよりふみのり疲れてるでしょ？お腹空いてる？それともお風呂？
I don't realize how hungry I am until Saya mentions it. I walked all night without a bite to eat, and now my stomach's emptiness becomes painfully clear. However, I can't sit down to a leisurely meal while covered in the dirt and sweat of the road, excuse me.
軽く何か口に入れて、それから風呂に入りたいな。温まるまでゆっくり。
そう言うと思って沸かしてあるよ、お風呂。一晩中外にいたんだもんね。寒かったでしょ。
ああ、そりゃもう。
I'm amazed by Saya's foresight. She's always ready to give me what I want before I want it. So wait, does water look normal to
大
him?
変だったんだ。
While soaking in the bath together, I tell Saya about my adventure.
殺すのは思った以上に楽だったんだよ。ただ、帰り道がね。
The heat of the bath is soothing, as is the sensation of Saya leaning back against my chest as she massages the fatigue out of my stiff leg muscles. Her cute little collarbone rises each time she squeezes my legs, and I can see the soft curves of her breasts floating in the water. Ah, I'm home. Contentment fills me. I don't even need to sleep to relieve my exhaustion. Just like the living room and the bedroom, the bathroom is painted in the colors that Saya and I find pleasing. We've left the entrance and hallway untouched, just in case someone could see inside. So these 3 rooms are the only places I can relax in my own home.
この季節でも山の寒さは尋常じゃないね。薄着で行ったのはつくづく失敗だった。夜中あたりは投資するんじゃないかってヒヤヒヤしたよ。
そのコウジって人の服も取り上げて重ね着してくればよかったのに。
おいおい、工事は井戸に落としたんだってば。着てた服も井戸の底だよ。
ああ、そっか。
Saya laughs and sticks her tongue out bashfully.
で、あと心配なのがつくばよって女の人？
Yeah, Saya, you're right.
工事が消えたのと僕のことを結びつけて考えそうなのはそいつ一人だけだからね。彼女の始末が終わったらやっと安心できるんだが。
I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself. Saya glances at me over her shoulder like she knows something that I don't.
その人の殺し方、もうふみのりは考えてあるの？
それがまだなんだ。いろいろと考えたんだけどね。だからサヤの知恵も借りようかと思ってさ。
任せといて。
She says, grinning with unusual confidence.
さやはね、ふみのりが想像もつかないような方法を知ってるよ。もう解決したも同然なんだから。
そうか。
さてと、もういい加減仕上がってる頃だし。
Saya's voice is full of anticipation. She rises from the bath, her naked body glistening through the steam.
でよ、ふみのり。見てほしいものがあるんだ。
Are we not gonna eat? Eating is good.
目をつぶっ
Even
て。
so, we're literally eating
私がい
like
いって言うまで
human
開いちゃ
meat.
ダメ。わかった？
うん。
So what are we gonna see? Take your guesses, gang. I mean, it's obviously related to Yo. I have no idea what's going on, but I do as Saya says and close my eyes. She takes my hand and leads me up the stairs. And of course, you know, I should mention, I did eat before this recording session because I'm not bright. As I wonder what she has in store for me, the sound of crying reaches my ears. I stiffen, and it's also human crying that he's able to hear.
サヤ、上に何かいるんじゃ。
目を開けちゃダメ。
She admonishes me and then strokes my arm soothingly.
危ないものじゃないから安心して。大丈夫。
Little by little, the crying sounds louder. I can hear the misery and pain in every choked sob. At first, I'm amazed that Saya would let someone in our house after what happened 2 days ago. Excuse me, but then I realize that something is strange. Isn't Saya the only one whose voice can carry such clear emotion to me? Although my eyes are still closed when Saya leads me into the bedroom, my ears tell me that there is someone only a few feet away, and yet I smell none of the human body odor that normally turns my stomach.
さあ、ご対面。文則、目を開けて。
I open my eyes and I am struck dumb by what I see. Ah, yeah, okay. We are seeing Yo naked, but we're also seeing Yo, herself, her human self. How? Tsukuba Yo is curled up on the floor with not a scrap of clothing to cover her shivering body. When I first lay eyes upon her naked flesh, I am entranced by the sensuality of her generous proportions, far more mature than I would have ever expected from her usual pure and innocent appearance. Wait, forget about that. Why is she in my bedroom naked? Moreover, why is she...
どう文則。この子の体、どんな風に見える？
綺麗だ。でも、なんで僕にもちゃんと。
It doesn't make sense. This is Tsukuba Yo, the one I remember, not the putrid creature whose attentions I found so unbearable after the accident. My senses recognize her as a human, or recognize her as the human that she is.
この子ね。文則のことが好きだったんだって。
I do know, but I've never told Saya. How did she find out?
だから私、この子の体を作り変えてあげたの。ちゃんと文則にも可愛がってもらえるような姿に。
Oh, so now she has become a monster. She is an actual monster now. So the things that she was saying over the phone, they might be right. Saya pauses to gauge my reaction and then continues with a satisfied nod.
私の同類にしてあげたの。
どうして？どうやって？
I still don't understand why Saya chose Yo, but this last statement is even more baffling. She changed Yo?
ねえ文則、おとといも言ったでしょ？私には他の生き物の体に細工ができるんだって。
Yes, I remember. She claimed to have done something to Suzumi's brain. I didn't doubt her sincerity then, but I suppose that some part of me thought she was exaggerating. I hadn't seen her handiwork firsthand. But now...
隣のおじさんにしたような小細工じゃなくて、今回のは大掛かりな変換だったけど、でもこれが私の能力の本当の使い方なんだよ。実際にやってみたのはこれが初めてなんだけど。
これが本当によ。
Yo finally notices my presence and turns her head to face me. I see a faint glimmer of recognition in her glassy, unfocused eyes. Her features are exactly as I remember them. Incredible. This is far beyond cosmetic surgery. Once a twisted creature unrecognizable as human, Yo is now the very image of human she's a female. There is no similarity between what she was and what she is, which can only mean that she has become something utterly unhuman, or inhuman. According to Saya, she has become what Saya is.
人か人目の生態構造についてはね、サヤはもうこの星で一番のエキスパートなの。いっぱい勉強したからね。
Saya declares, her voice full of pride for her first creation.
勉強って何を誰から学んだんだ？いつどうやって？
She couldn't have learned it from Dr. Ogai. No teacher on Earth could impart such knowledge or skill.
だって毎日文則の注ぎ込んでもらったじゃない。私の中に。
Saya blushes.
あれ、要は人間っていう生き物の設計図みたいなものだから。私にはそれを読み解くことができるの。好きなようにいじることもね。
That's interesting. Even I'm a little like at a loss for words there. What is she really? I've accepted that she isn't human, But there's more to her than that. Saya is something that far transcends my species.
でもね、やっぱり最初だったもんだから手際よくできなくって。
When Saya approaches, Yo trembles and tries to crawl away, but is only able to flail her arms and legs wildly. It's like she doesn't know how to move her own body. And the only sounds coming out of her mouth are frightened moans.
喋れないのか。
あいにく心の方は壊れちゃったみたい。
Saya sighs in mild disappointment.
なんだかんだで返信が終わるまでに20時間もかかっちゃったから、ちょっとかわいそうなことしちゃったかな。かなり苦しかっただろうし。
Yeah, I kind of feel bad too. This is a whole nother fucked up, or like level of fucked up. It's, I don't know, like, the game doesn't have too much that visually shows fucked up scenarios, but it still displays them in such ways, it connects them together. And that's, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to properly explain it. Yo looks up at me pleadingly, as though begging me to save her. She is no longer able to ask me for help though, or even to call my name.
で、どう？気に入ってくれた？
I am at a loss for how to respond.
どうって。
だって文則、友達や家族が欲しいって言ってたでしょ。だからこれはさやからのプレゼント。
Her innocent explanation only confuses me further.
プレゼントって。おいおい。子犬か何かじゃあるまいし。
似たようなもんだよ。どうせ頭の中なんて真っ白なんだから。
I'm happy that Saya wants to please me, but she could use a little more common sense.
いや、人間一人を監禁し続けるっていうのは多分かなり厄介なもんだと思うよ。
大丈夫だよ。ほら、こうやって鎖でつないであるし。
The only thing preventing Yo from being totally naked is the leather collar around her neck. I have no idea where Saya got it from, but it's the kind of dog collar that would be sold in any pet store. The chrome chain is fastened to one of the bedposts, excuse me. Yo tries to get away again, but Saya sends her sprawling with a tug of the chain. Yo tumbles to the floor, squealing in pain. Her actions are those of an unintelligent animal, just as Saya said.
それにこの子、どっちみち逃げ出して何かしようとか、そういう難しいことはもうできないから。ね？これでもう文則が心配することなんてないでしょ？
Saya has a point. I was racking my brain for a plan to kill Yo, but now my problem has been solved in a way that I never could have imagined. If a normal person looks upon her now, they'll probably see no trace of the old Yo. And if she has no memories and can't even speak, then it's perfect. Saya has killed Yo without taking her life. Though there's still the problem of what she means by giving Yo to me.
嬉しくない？
Okay, so I won't say spoilers, but there's a very early episode in both renditions of Full Metal Alchemist that this scenario... Oh, geez, excuse me. That this scenario is kind of reminding me about. Yeah, I actually can't really draw any similarities without spoiling it. It is an early on episode, and while it doesn't have anything to do in the long running of the overall plot, I think going into that early on episode blind is incredible. Also, just watch Full Metal Alchemist, either one, like, please. It is awesome. Saya asks dejectedly, her confidence suddenly gone.
私、また何か勘違いしてた？文則のこと困らせちゃった？
いや。
この子の世話はちゃんと私が一人でやるよ。文則にめんどくさい思いなんてさせないよ。それでもダメ？
That's not it. The last thing that I want is to reject this symbol of Saya's affection. But how can I explain to Saya why I'm trying not to look at the naked woman writhing on the floor?
そういうことじゃない。 違うんだ。
Yo is the first human figure besides Saya that I've seen in 3 months since the accident. And she's a woman positively glowing with voluptuous feminine beauty. Of course I'm happy, but I also can't ignore the voice of reason that's telling me not to be.
嬉しいよ。嬉しいんだけど、素直に喜んでいいのかどうか。さやのことを思うとさ。
Saya looks puzzled, as though she has absolutely no idea what I'm getting at.
いや、だってほら、この子だって女の子だからさ。僕がさやの他に別の女の子と一緒に暮らすっていうのは嫌じゃないのか。
After considering this briefly, Saya finally seems to understand what I'm trying to say.
そんな、ふみのりって考えすぎだよ。
Maybe I am worrying too much, although I'm pretty sure that I'm just showing the consideration that any man who's sworn his love to a woman would show. Or maybe Saya doesn't understand that a man faced with a woman's naked body can't help but react regardless of his feelings. True that,
お
brother.
かしい。本当に優しいんだね、ふみのりって。
そうか。
この子はね、ふみのりのこと喜ばすためだけにさやが用意したの。ふみのりがこの子のこと好きになって、この子と過ごすのを楽しいって思うようになってくれたら、それだけさやも嬉しいんだよ。それ遠慮するようなことじゃないよ。
こう言っちゃなんだが。
I struggle to find the right words to express my true feelings.
男ってそのものすごく下劣な生き物だから。ほら、陽の体ってサヤの裸とはまた全然違う特徴があるだろう。これってサヤのこと好きだって思う気持ちとは全然別のところで、そのかなり気をそそられるってのが。
With each word that I squeeze from my lips, Saya's grin grows wider and wider, until finally she starts shaking with laughter.
わかるわかる。ふみのりは男の子だからそれでいいの。正常な本能だよ。
Saya exclaims jovially, patting my shoulder with one hand and wiping tears from her eyes with the other.
じゃあさ、この子を可愛がるときはさやも一緒に混ぜてよ。さやの体だけじゃできないような遊び方、みんなで楽しもうよ。
いいのか。
I ask again as though trying to force her to say no. This is a real close-up and creepy shot of her. Saya answers me with a smile whose like I have never seen before. It is calm, so terribly calm, and there is something bewitching about the soft set of her lips that sets it apart from her usual bright childish expression.
ふみのりとさやは恋人同士で、つくばようはそんな二人のペット。この子は私とふみのりに可愛がられるたびにそのことを思い出すの。これから毎日ずーっとね。
I finally know why Saya chose Yo, for the venom in her voice and smile does not escape me. Although she can no longer answer if asked, Yo would surely have chosen death over this fate, and that is the very reason Saya visited it upon her. God damn, how wicked and terrible Saya is. Perhaps others would fear and loathe her. I, however, find her malevolence irresistibly charming. The horrifying cruelty of what she has done to Yo is so very human. Though her shape may be different, her soul is the same as ours. When I look upon Yo's wretched form, I see the intensity and passion of Saya's love for me, for the flames that have consumed Yo are fueled by that very love. I find myself enthusiastically accepting Saya's present.
サヤは気に入ってるのかい、このペットのこと。
とっても綺麗で触り心地もいいんだよ。
そっか。じゃあ二人でこいつと遊ぶ時もサヤはサヤで楽しめるんだね。僕が遠慮することはないね。
もちろん。
Grinning happily, Saya grabs the chain and pulls Yo to her feet.
ねえふみのり、触ってごらんよ。柔らかくて気持ちいいよ。
ああ。
As Yo looks up at me with teary, pleading eyes, I approach and let my gaze roam freely over her lush body and ripe breasts. I run my fingers through her hair, finding it as smooth as Saya's, enjoying the feel, as smooth as Saya's, by the way. I don't know if I said soothe or smooth. It's getting late, and I'm losing my mind. Enjoying the feel, I continue to caress Yo's head. Her fearful expression softens a little. Perhaps she remembers me in some part of her mind, and believes even now that I will be kind to her. How foolish. Saya convulses and collapses into my chest, smiling contentedly as she surrenders herself to the fire filling her womb. Still breathing hard after my ravaging of her body, Yo gazes at us with dazed, uncomprehending eyes. Sprawled atop each other, smelling of sweat and sex, we savor for a while the calm left in the aftermath of our orgy. Later, as I lie on my bed drained of energy, I consider what my life will be like from now on. Also, that whole segment, it was 10 minutes, 15 minutes of just that is going to be totally cut out of this episode. So if you guys actually want to see that, there's a link in the description for a Patreon. You should definitely check that out. And I will say nothing more. Saya is resisting in my arms. Yo is curled up on the floor. Yesterday, I could not have imagined that the three of us would be a family. A new home, new food, a new family. All granted to me by Saya. She has selflessly led me from the brink of death to find new joy amid despair. And I too have changed. I have killed 2 people with my own hands and made a third my mindless slave. Yet despite all that I have done, I am able to sleep peacefully. Without a doubt, I am no longer the Sakisaka Fuminori I once was. How far will Saya take me? What will I become? I feel somewhat unsure, though not discouraged about the unknown world into which we are heading. And so, while playing with Saya's hair, I ask,
君は一体何者なんだい?
I don't expect an answer. If Saya is asleep or doesn't want to respond, I won't mind. Saya lifts her head, however, and draws my gaze into her deep pools of her eyes, or into the deep pools of her eyes.
言葉では説明しにくいんだけどね。
She thinks for a while, searching for the right words, and then says simply,
タンポポって花があるよね。種を風に乗せて飛ばすやつ。綿毛の種は風に運ばれて、ふるさとから遠く遠く離れて、もしかしたら草木なんか一本も生えてない砂漠に落ちちゃうかもしれない。そんな時、たった一粒のその種が何を思うか。それを想像してくれれば分かってもらえるかもしれない。私のこと。
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck you just said. I am too tired to comprehend anything. As I consider Saya's answer, she continues her story.
種はもちろん草の種だからね。その気になって頑張れば、砂漠を砂漠じゃなくしてしまえる。ただ一粒だけの種でも、もしかしたら頑張ろうって思うようになるかもしれない。頑張って育って増えて、いつかこの土地が一面のタンポポ畑になるまで頑張ろうって、そう思うかもしれない。そんな風にタンポポの種が心を決めるとしたら、どんな時だと思う？
それは?
I whisper, entranced. Saya smiles softly and caresses my cheek.
それはね、その砂漠にたった一人だけでも花を愛してくれる人がいるって知った時、タンポポの花は綺麗だねって種に話しかけてくれた時。
The loving touch of her slender fingers fills me with peace and joy.
あなたのこと大好き。
I pull her into my chest, nodding silently.
ずっとそばにいて、いつまでも私の隣に。
あ、もちろん。
Basking in the soft warmth of our love for each other, we sink into the oblivion of sleep. Whew, oh my gosh. Oh hey, the dead man's still here. Okay, we are going to end it on this note. So, I don't know how I feel, but I do feel something. I think I have a positive and negative feeling about Saya, as well as the direction that Fuminori is heading. We see Fuminori being led by Saya, basically being able to find enjoyment in the world that he is unfortunately in. For Saya to do that, that is both great for both of them. But I feel like Saya is going a bit too far and doing a lot of things out of selfishness. I do not doubt that she loves Fuminori. I'm sure that is truth. But it is leading her to doing these things that is subsequently leading Fuminori into losing more and more of his humanity. Being able to accept killing people and think of that as normal in order to enjoy life with Saya, instead of, trying to find a way to get back to his life, shows how he is strayed from humanity. Not that, getting back to his original life did him any good, as we saw in that little side ending, but he is straying further and further, which is something I'm not really a fan of in how he's going about everything. I mean, for him to just simply throw his friend into a well, ready for him to die and all that, shows just how far gone he is. And I have to say that it's probably because of Saya's selfishness of what she's doing. I don't know. Just wanted to get those thoughts out of my head. Obviously, I'm really tired, if you guys could not tell. It's hard to come out with some good commentary and predictions and all that when you're tired. I don't even know if I can get this edited tonight, but we'll see. We will see. Thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you all in the next one, hopefully without a chunk of it missing. Hopefully it's all relatively safe to have up on the channel. See you guys then. Take it easy.